Hi guys, it's Robin. Hey, I need to talk to you about the miracles that Jesus performed in the book of John, in the Gospel of John. In John 2, it talks about Jesus turning water into wine. That was his first miracle. That was in Cana when he went to a wedding. And at the wedding, they had run out of wine. And his mother came to him and says, in John 2:4, it says, Jesus said unto her, Women, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. And the mother told the servants to do whatever he tells them to do. And there were 6 water pots of stone. And each one measured like 2 or 3 firkins. And a firkin is about a 10-gallon. So if you're talking 3 firkins, that's 30 gallons. Anyway, they filled the water pots with water, and they filled them to the brim. And then Jesus told them to draw it out and take it to the governor of the feast. Well, the governor took one drink of it, and he's like, and I'm just paraphrasing here, he's like, normally they take and serve the good wine first. That way, when everybody's drunk or had to drink, then they're served the lesser wine. But that's not what happened. But that was the first miracle. And that was an entire wedding party that was there, and the disciples. So they all saw what had happened. Then you had Jesus heals a nobleman's son in John 4:43. He left and he went to Galilee. And the nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum, and when he heard that Jesus had come to Judea, from out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and talked to him and said, I need you to heal my son. My son is dying. And in 48 it says, Jesus said unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. And the nobleman told him to come down and save his son. Then he told the nobleman, Go by the way, the son liveth. Well, the nobleman left, and on his way back to Capernaum, his servants met him, and his servants told him that his son lives. And he asked them, he says, Oh, when did this happen? And they told him that it happened about wow, I'm trying to read this because I can't remember. I think it was like it was about the 6th hour. I'm not seeing it now, but it was about the 6th hour, a 7th hour, 7th hour. Okay, so that meant it was about 1 p.m. And that's when the fever had left the son, and he was fine. After that, Jesus did a healing at the pool of Bethesda. Bethesda means house of mercy. There was a man there that was The Bible says impotent, but impotent in the Bible means helpless. So they're not sure what was wrong with him. They just knew that he could not walk. And there were certain times when an angel had gone down to the pool and stirred up the waters, troubled the waters, and whoever was the first to get in that water was healed. And the man, he couldn't walk. He couldn't get up and go. And when Jesus saw him, he said to him, "Wilt thou be made whole?" And the man said that he had nobody to help him get into the pool. And whenever he was going, another would step down before him. And Jesus told him to rise up and take your bed and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and he stood up and he took up his bed and started walking. Well, the Jews were upset with us because it was the Sabbath day. And back then, on the Sabbath, you couldn't even carry a sewing needle in your clothes, stuck in your clothes. I mean, that was, let alone take up your bed and carry your bed. But then again, there were all kinds of witnesses at this pool. There were so many people needing to be healed. Then you've got the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And there was a multitude that had followed him and saw his miracles. And when Jesus had looked and saw all the people, he went and told the disciples to make them sit down in the grass. And there was like 5,000 of them, 5,000 people. And there was a young boy there that had 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples and had their disciples give them to the men sitting down. And the same with the fishes. And then when they were filled, he told the disciples to pick up the remains, and they had 12 basketfuls of leftovers of the barley bread. It's incredible. You had over 5,000 people there that witnessed this. That's not made up stories. God's Bible is the truth. And the next thing he does, Jesus walks on the water. In John 16, Jesus wasn't with his disciples, but his disciples got on a ship and headed over toward Capernaum. And Jesus wasn't with them, but the sea became troubled and the wind was blowing all over the place. And they had rowed about 25 or 34 furlongs. And they saw Jesus walking on the water and drawing unto the ship. And they were afraid. Now, Matthew 14:25-31 elaborates on this. And this is where Peter had saw Jesus. And he said, let's see. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me to come on to the water. And that's in Matthew 15, or Matthew 14:28. And Jesus said, come. And when Peter went down out of the ship, he walked on the water. Oh, Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. And Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And then they went on to the ship, and the waters and the wind quieted down. O ye of little faith. Here's one when Jesus forgives an adulterous woman. Jesus went to Mount Olives, and he went into the temple and sat down to teach them. And the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taking in adultery. And they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. And now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? And they said this, and he bent down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he didn't hear them. And when he stood back up, he told them, he says, he that is without sin among you, let him cast a stone at her. And again, he kneeled down and wrote on the ground. And they that had heard them, because of their own conscience, they left one by one. And everybody left except the woman. And then Jesus stood up and saw that nobody was there except the woman. And he said unto her, wait a minute, woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? And she said, no man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. That's the kind of love that Jesus has for us. He's willing to forgive our sins. And in John 9, Jesus heals a blind man from birth. His disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he been born blind? And Jesus answered, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I'm in the world, I am the light of the world. So he spat on the ground and made clay with a spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he told the man, go wash in the pool of, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right or not, Siloam, Siloam. And he went his way and washed. And when he washed, he was able to see. And the Pharisees were upset about this because, again, it was the Sabbath day. You know, Jesus is the good shepherd. He says, I lay down my life for the sheep. They hear my voice and they know me. And if a robber comes, they will run from the robber because they don't know him. They don't know his voice. And when we're talking to sheep, we're talking about God the Father's Christian children. Lazarus dies in John 11. Lazarus was a dear friend of Jesus's. And Mary and her sister Martha had gone to Jesus. This is in John 11. And told him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. And when Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. And after he heard, after Martha and Mary had left, he stayed. He stayed where he was for 2 more days. And after that, he told his disciples, let us go to Judea. And in John 9, it says, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he see the light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of his sleep. And the disciples didn't understand. So the Lord explained to them, Lazarus is dead. When they had got to Bethany, Lazarus had already been in the grave for 4 days. And when Mary and Martha had gotten up to go meet Jesus, the Jews that were there mourning with them saw that they were getting up in a hurry. And they went with them, they followed them, and they went to the grave. And they didn't totally understand it either, Mary and Martha. Jesus saith that thy brother shall rise again. And Martha said unto him, I know he will rise again at the resurrection of the last day. And Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet he shall live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. And so Jesus said, show me the grave. And then Mary says, she fell down at Jesus' feet saying to him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews around weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And this is the shortest verse in the Bible. This is Jesus wept. And when they got to the grave, Jesus says, take away the stone. And then Martha protested. She says, Lord, by this time he stinketh. He had been dead for 4 days. And he said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God? Then they took the stone away. And Jesus lifted his eyes and said, Father, this is John 41. John 11:41 through 42. Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And after he spoken, he said in a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And Lazarus came forth. He was still bound in his grave clothes. And Jesus said to them, loose him and let him go. There are so many miracles that Jesus performed. Some are in the other Gospels, and some were written in a book of Enoch. But every one of these miracles, there were all kinds of people around to witness. You can't deny it. You can't deny the signs. You can't deny the miracles, because they happened. Y'all be blessed.